Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Katie and we have UPCRATE! Yay! I don't know why, I felt quite excited about all of the subscription boxes this month. Well, all two of them. But let's get cracking, shall we? This month's co-captain featured artist in the box is Eleanor Shapiro, and I really quite like their work. It reminds me a little bit of Paula Rego. And I remember writing a massive essay on Paula Rego while I was at university, so that's why this kind of stands out to me. Anyway, waffling, let's talk about the ingredients, shall we? So we have the UPCRATE magazine, and it's got all the nice handy dandy hints and tips on how to use the materials, and a bit of information and history as well, which I like. And as you've gathered, this month's box is a pastel box. I feel like both boxes this month have given me Nemesis materials, and it's either a wet medium Nemesis or a dry medium Nemesis, and today is the dry medium Nemesis. It's actually not that I don't like pastels. I love pastels, but they're a bit tactile for me, and I feel like pastel dust gets right in my fingerprints, so I do use Q-tips on here to smush them around where I can. The pastels featured in this box are the Rembrandt soft pastels, and they are in the muted tone selection. There aren't any colour names, but there are colour numbers, but I'll just leave that as it is because that just gets confusing. We also have the Kohinoor Hardtmuth charcoal pencils, and we have one of them in white, so that would be chalk, but it says white coal. And we have one in black, which I'm going to go with it being a traditional charcoal base. We also have a chisel tip big chunky marker by Loop, and they have featured before in UPCRATE, I'd say just over 12 months ago, and I still have and use them now. Also included are 3 sheets of Rembrandt toned drawing pastel paper, and it is 180 GSM and has a slight tone to it. It's a grey tone paper. I must admit, I'm a little surprised there wasn't any more paper in it. Usually UPCRATE are pretty good with providing lots of surface on there. However, there are a good selection of other materials in here, so I guess that was the thing that I had to give on this one. I carried out the swatching on some WH Smith's pastel paper that I already had in, so as not to use up the stuff that came in the box, just so you know. This month's UPCRATE battle prompt is Echo, and I must admit I really struggled with this prompt. I really did not know how to convey an echo using any materials, never mind pastels. But I have provided you lovely lot 3 examples of my attempts, and the one on screen being my first. I'd got the idea of a character shouting, and then maybe you can sort of use your imagination and imagine that they are listening to the echo. And to be fair, to start off with, this was going pretty well. The paint marker was really good for creating some good sharp edges, and it was also very friendly for going over with the pastels and the charcoal. That surprised me because I thought a coat of acrylic marker pen ink would actually remove the tooth of the paper, which it does have a slight tooth, but actually I would say it probably lent a little bit more to the surface, so I was quite happy that these 2 mediums got on well. I did have my doubts. I tried to take advantage of the mid-tone of the paper, but because these are muted pastels, it was very difficult to bring out any massive tonal differences alone just using them, which is why I'm assuming the charcoal and the chalk pencil are in there. However, I persevered and used the light flesh tones for the highlights, as well as getting a little bit abstract and using some of those greens and blues for shadows and other highlights as well. The Q-tips I'm using are actually makeup application ones, which I bought purely for the purpose of ever having any pastels. But they're also pretty good for smoothing out any graphite work that you might be doing as well. Eventually though, on some areas I do succumb and do end up using my fingers, and here's a really nice bonus bit of information. I'm sure you can tell on the screen. I am wearing a white top, and I am proud to say none of it went on there. Granted, the chalk dust did go everywhere else, but the jumper remained unstained, and I didn't mean that to rhyme. So one of the things I find difficult about pastels, especially big chunky pastels, is getting them details in there, and I guess that isn't the idea, I suppose. But working on very small areas with big chunky materials is really, really difficult. So a lot of it was down to blending and using a very fine Q-tip, which you can do. And some of it, thank goodness, that charcoal pencil was in there. Now, I know this looks really weird on screen. I'm not very good at drawing open mouths, never mind somebody yelling. It's something I'm working and practicing though. And I think to draw something as intricate and as expressive as that, whilst trying to convey all of that, was quite difficult. However, it does start looking a little less weird once I add the eyebrows and the eyes in there and a few of the stronger shadows with that charcoal pencil. A lot of you have mentioned on my last video that you would like to see me do a Beyond the Box series, so I have listened and I will be preparing one for the scroll box and one for this box. So please make sure, if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed and you've got them beautiful notifications on. YouTube seems to be doing that thing where it tidies up people's accounts and accidentally deletes people, so make sure you're not one of them. I know I've had to resubscribe to a few channels as well, so just letting you know. Anyway, back to the drawing, and I would recommend sticking around until the end of this video because this drawing is not finished. Well, when you think it is anyway. So to bring this character out from the red background a little bit more, I used that charcoal, and as you can see it blended in really nicely and it adhered to that surface really well. By this stage though, I was thinking, I wonder if I can have the face merging from another colour into this red background. I don't know why, it was getting a little bit weird, and I'd blended and blended and blended, and I was like, right, I'm going to have to call it a day, otherwise I'm really going to ruin this. And I wasn't massively happy with how I'd finished it, but at this point I was thinking maybe I should just start another picture. Which is exactly what I went on to do. So I thought I would try and draw a face from a different angle, slightly upturned. Not really anything to do with the prompt, because again, I was really struggling with what to do for that. So I penciled it out using an existing pencil from my collection. I'm sure we've all got one of them. I'm not sure why I thought this prompt was hard. I mean, sometimes some of them come quite naturally to me, and some of them there's just nothing there. Have you guys got any ideas what you would draw for the prompt of Echo? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, back to the drawing. So I went in there again with that marker pen, and I must admit I'm pretty pleased with the coverage there. I used that to define the form of our character's head and then started building up all of those different tones. To be honest, on this one, I just wanted to get my head around these pastels a little bit more, and I think I was getting there. I was getting better ideas as to what else I could use this combination of ingredients, but I just still wasn't quite feeling it at this point. I don't know if it was a case of me over blending and overworking, and again, because this is a material I don't use very often, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right or not. I'd make sure to tap off all of the dust once it all built up, and that was when applying the medium as well as blending it, because that dust did build up. And it was just a case of keeping on doing that until it just wouldn't do it anymore. By this point though, I was thinking, right, I might have a third idea here, and I will try and encapsulate the prompt in it a little bit more. One thing I did discover on this though was I could kind of blend some hair here. It was giving me ideas as to what I could do. I also have to mention I was actually quite impressed by the charcoal pencils, because I've had them in the past before and they've travelled around a little bit and they've broke, and I had to sharpen these quite a few times. I used a coloured pencil sharpener rather than a regular one, and I was thinking I'm only really going to get one use out of these, but they sharpened brilliantly. There were no snapped leads in it or anything, so kudos to UPCRATE for making sure that things were wrapped up well enough there where the leads did not break in them. I'm very impressed. Anyway, we are on picture number 3, and at this point I was trying to take the prompt a little bit more literally. I thought I could do a cavern scene and a character shouting into it, which is where I could get the echo from. At this point I thought I would take a gamble and see if I could use that marker pen over areas where I had added the pastel and hope there were no consequences to it. Luckily it worked out fine, so that gave me the idea to go back to the third painting. So if you're at the start of the video and I said hang on, this is why, and I thought I can add some really dramatic hair in here and really cut into that figure that I'd done. So we're back on the first picture now. I do apologise if this video's been a little chaotic. Let me know in the comments if you're still here. Anyway, once I had gone over the area where I'd just completely gone too far with the blending, and I did wipe a lot of that off with a microfiber cloth, so that's a good handy hint if you want to lift some charcoal off large areas. And for some reason the contrast between the really sharp lines from the paint marker and the blended area of the figure's face, it really, I don't know, it really worked well. I decided to do that thing I always do, and I went a little bit overboard with the hair detail, but gotta love the hair detail, and it worked really well using that charcoal for it. I had considered incorporating the pastels into it and adding different tones in the hair, but if I'm really honest with you, I actually think that would have lost some of that contrast and drama to it, if I'll be honest with you. So I'm actually glad I just kept it to adding the charcoal and the chalk pencil. I was also impressed as well at how good the chalk and charcoal pencils were for cutting in detail. I thought it would be a horrible crumbly mess with my heavy-handedness, but no, it was really good. I think personally I will do a beyond the box with these, but these materials will probably go into my life drawing kit. I tend to work with quicker mediums when I go to life drawing classes, so these are ideal for that. And that's assuming life drawing classes are going to be starting soon, as we're currently in lockdown and on the verge of having some of that released, so maybe I can do another life drawing video in the future. The highlights and a few stray wisps were added using the chalk pencil, and I just merged that black background in a little bit more, again just to add some depth and drama. And I decided her mouth was just looking a little bit too blurry, so I added some of that paint marker in, and while it was still wet, blended it in with a Q-tip. All in all, I've been pretty impressed with this box. Again, it's not a set of materials I would pick, but I guess that's the idea of these mystery boxes. I found the prompt a little bit too hard, and that's probably down to me, but I actually like how working through each picture eventually made me do full circle, come back to the first one and create something I was a lot happier with. And it always makes me happy when I have a box I can learn from. Anyway, you lovely lot, I do hope you have enjoyed this video, and I want to say a massive thank you for watching. There should be some more videos and a playlist on screen, and that subscribe button if you haven't hit it already, so make sure you click any of those, that would make me very happy. Anyway, I'll see you on the next video. Bye!